Hi, my name is Burgandi Phoenix.
And I'm Govind Kumar.
And you are watching The Curve, brought to you by
Casting Frontier.
Today, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest with us. He is a writer, director, producer, actor, stand-up comedian, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's worked on a whole lot of shows and things that we all love.
Yeah.
Ladies and gents, Mr. Fred Goss.
How are you?
Very good, thank you.
How are your kids watching at home? Are you good?
They're good.
Are you good? Good.
So if you could maybe just tell us a little bit about
me,
about
who
you,
I am.
about what you've done.
I think that perhaps my value to this audience is that I started as an actor, and I've moved on to directing, writing. I still act. You know, I reached a point where I aged out of like the young dad or the things I wanted. Now when my agent calls, he's like, we got some for an angry senator. I'm like,
oh, so many of them.
There's a lot of those.
Then I'm like, I'm good. I don't know. I've reached a point where I'm mainly directing. I've directed a lot of episodic television and about 500 commercials. And I had my own series, and that's kind of, that would be the advice I'd want to tap into. You know, currently what I'm working on, if I could plug.
Please.
Your most recent.
I did a web series with Jeff Bridges that I directed and conceived of with him, and it's you can see it on joinsleepclub.com. It's 11 episodes. It's been picked up by Amazon.
Wow.
It's going to be an Amazon Prime original film. That we're going to add 20 more minutes to make it a
cool.
feature length, right? They're going to string all the webisodes together, and then we'll do these interstitials in the middle, and it's going to be a film on Amazon Prime in the fall.
Wow.
Nice. Congratulations. So definitely look out for that. We'll put information below on that.
Jeff Bridges, right?
I mean, right? And Fred Goss.
So many up-and-coming writers and people struggling with their Google Docs are looking for some advice out there. All the coffee shops. So, you started, you were saying, before it all went to digital and before the YouTube era where people...
My advice to anyone who's getting started, you kids, is that, I started at 18. I moved here when I was 18, and I got into stand-up comedy, and it quickly became apparent to me, acting classes, I would do like comedias and, and Shakespeare and I did a lot of theater, I did like 100 plays or so. So I got my craft down, I knew what I wanted to do, but by the time I was 30, it became abundantly clear to me that nobody gave a flying about my career in Hollywood, because there is no nepotism. I came from Michigan, I had no one, I still have nobody in this town that I'm related to. So it's discouraging, and I would say don't let that get you down, but do also understand and be a realist about it.
Yeah.
Nobody really does care more about your career than you do. You know what I mean?
Hashtag truth.
So how did you get, when you were writing, how did you get it all together and people behind you before now you're so successful?
I acted in like 150 commercials, and then I only did that because I was a production assistant. I thought, well, I could get behind the camera, right? But that's not what I wanted to do. Then I got a job with a casting company, in-house casting company for a company called HKM Productions. And I must have cast 100 commercials for those guys.
Wow.
And in the process, I must have shown 200 guys for a Sprite commercial callback. And how to do that old Laurel and Hardy bit where two people are putting on the same overcoat.
Oh.
And these model guys would be like, I'm sorry, so I put I'm like, it's shtick. It's shtick. You just gotta kind of take a sleeve, right? And no one could get it. Finally, the Sprite clients go, well, you do it great. I mean, you're not that attractive, but
They always have a dig, but you still got it.
But you got the job.
Well, they saw it as like this guy. These guys were just so good looking, but they couldn't do the comedy. So I was on the set for 20 minutes, got my SAG card. Back in the day, for that 20 minutes work, I made over $100,000 in residuals for this Sprite commercial. Right?
That's amazing.
And then I kept doing that, and I never really pursued theatrical because I'd get on the phone with like some big casting director's assistant, and they would be so rude that I was just like, you know what, I can't do this. So I just stuck with commercials, and I never really pursued that. And then then I'm in my 30s, and I'm raising kids, and I taught myself how to edit and then shoot a camera.
Wow.
And then I started doing internet content because that was becoming a thing for streaming. And I reached a point where I was making bar mitzvah videos. I had my own, like I would shoot the event, and then I would make the memory video, and I had this whole little thing going on. And I was going to do that. The one thing I didn't give up as I was with the kids is my love of getting on stage, right? So I belonged to the Acme Comedy Theater, a sketch comedy group, sketch and improv group in Hollywood.
Yeah.
We were like the kind of like the down groundlings, like they would have the full audience, and we would be like struggling to get 15 people in there. But I moved up quickly. It was something I could just go into the entry level group, medium group. Then I did a bunch of main shows, and then when my third kid when my daughter was born, I stopped because it was 3 kids.
Oh my gosh!
There's no
How
money.
did you transition into writing then?
Well, I was just doing because you had to learn how to write. That's how I learned how to write. From writing sketches on stage. So I learned how to construct comedy that way, and I had done stand-up for a few years in my 20s, and I transitioned out of that. I had a big background in improvisation. So I knew my craft, but I also knew that the reality of the business was it probably wasn't going to pan out, So I was doing a show. Some guy came in and said, hey, I'm taking a movie to Slam Dance, a short film to Slam Dance, and I love that character you did. Would you audition for this movie? And I said, what's the pay? And he goes, nothing. So I'd done 1,000 freebies and was more than happy to. And this was a great little thing. It was 5 couples all on a sofa with a locked off camera, right? And the camera we looked right into the camera was the marriage counselor. And it was just jump cutting from couple to couple. And when he was at Slam Dance with it, this guy, Peter Tortorici, came to him, who used to be the head of CBS before Les Moonves. Ixnay on the Unmez right?
But we cut that out.
Yeah. No, but he was there briefly, and he said I could take that film and actually use it as a sales tool to sell this as a pilot to NBC, which he did.
Wow.
And we made the pilot. They brought some of the cast over, and we made a pilot. And Jeff Zucker passed on it because he didn't like improvisation. It was a fully improvised show. The same year Curb came out, so like no one was doing it.
Oh, wow.
And so he passed on it, but Jeff Gassman had just been put in charge of Bravo, and he said, well, we'll take it, because he needed content. And that was before Bravo was like
Bravo.
all these ridiculous reality
Right.
shows. It was actually still like an arts channel, right? So we ran 2 seasons on that. I got enough juice from that to shoot something for $5,000 on my own. That was an idea that I had called The Weekend. And it was the best $5,000 I ever spent, because I sold it to NBC. I partnered up with Lorne Michaels on it and Broadway
Wow.
Video. We sold it to NBC. ABC saw it first and wanted it. So while we were making the pilot for NBC, they came back to me and said, look, can you make something like that for us? And I said, I suppose, right? So,
Maybe.
so it's great that he did that, because NBC passed on The Weekend, but Sons and Daughters, which we created for ABC, went to series. And it was a wild thing, because Steve McPherson had just come in, taken over ABC, got rid of everything, and they had no comedies. So his thought was, this could work. So anyway, that's basically how I made. From that point, because of that show, I went to company films for commercials. I did this big series of Coke Zero spots that were improvised, and because I had done the improvised show, that they didn't know how to handle doing these 2 lawyers or these 2 Coke executives that were trying to ask a lawyer whether or not they could sue Coke Zero for taste infringement. So it was a great campaign, and it launched that career. So it was all based off of taking the initiative and doing it myself, because I knew full well that nobody was going to ask me to be in their movie. Nobody was going to ask me to direct their TV show.
Yeah.
And that's still the case. Like I've been in the business now, doing well for like 12, 13 years. I am still on the outside looking in. I'm not a member of the club, whatever that is.
Yeah.
So you made the opportunity for yourself.
Yeah, and
Right.
I still do. If I write a script before I go into pitch, I shoot something. Just know that it's got to be pro, because of the equipment that exists now. There's no excuses. Like they got all these LED lights. You can't bring something in that you look at and go, well, it's a B.
Yeah.
It's got to be an A plus. If you don't think it's when I made the thing for The Weekend, I looked at it and went, oh my God, I love this. Which I'm my own worst critic, right? So I loved it, and everyone we showed it to wanted it.
Wow.
So what are tricks of the trade? You said you did it for $5,000 originally.
Yes.
And so,
Well, as I told you, I already had learned how to I've been cutting for a few
Edit.
years.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the other thing too, is learn how to do that stuff. It's not that complex really to get the basics of a good camera, right?
Right.
Shoot it in 4K, because you can do that on your iPhone. It's not ideal, but
Right,
honestly,
but it's possible.
It works
Yeah.
because if all you're going to do is show it on a monitor in an executive's office,
Right. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us. We will be back with part B with Mr. Fred Goss because there's so much great information we have to do.
Don't be gone too long because I'm
Yeah.
old. I'm old.
So make sure to look out for that. Subscribe, like, comment below, and we will see you next time.